from my perspective, just as an old country boy, and you know, this is the only way I can understand this complex stuff. We need parallels on the in the virtual world to what we have in the real world.
And to those who say that a bill to stop online theft will break the internet, I'd like to point out that it's not likely to happen.
Leading scholars, as well as the American Civil Liberties Union, say that this legislation will not survive constitutional scrutiny as introduced.
Wouldn't it be right to do this research to find out so that at least we do no harm that could hurt our economy in dramatic ways?
The creativity of the internet may, in fact, be diminished severely by the structure of this.
And the last thing you want to do is create a hole or do some surgery to the internet.
As any of my colleagues on the committee might have perhaps seen, Avenue Q, an excellent production on Broadway. One of the signature songs from that is "The Internet is for Porn," and without objection, Mr. Chair, I'd like to submit the lyrics to "The Internet is for Porn" for the record.
I was trying to think of a way to try to describe my concerns with this bill, but basically, we're going to do surgery on the internet, and we haven't had a doctor in the room tell us how we're going to change these organs. We're basically going to reconfigure the internet and how it's going to work without bringing in the nerds, without bringing in the doctors.
The debate here has shown that we do not understand the facts underlying the decisions that we are making.
It allows us to get into the internet and say, look, you can't engage in these kind of things just because you're operating in the internet.
But we don't go after the Postal Service or UPS when something is illegally shipped through that means of transportation. I don't think we should treat the internet differently.
If it's already against the law, because we're just enforcing a law that already exists, right?
We have a number of papers from some very qualified people who say that this hurts cybersecurity.
Well, I don't believe.
And other than saying, well, we got to do something, I agree with you.
I do not believe that. But
with all due respect, how to just say, well, I don't believe that? These guys are experts. I'm looking for somebody to come before this body and testify in a hearing and say, this is why they're wrong.
There's collateral damage in addition to this not being an effective tool to combat internet piracy. It will also promote internet piracy by making the DNSSEC less secure, and it will make internet stability and security more difficult.
To explain this as a metaphor, it's akin to there being a crack house in a neighborhood where crimes are being committed. Now, the correct solution is you go in and you bust the crack house, arrest it, condemn it. That's a direct response. What instead we're trying to get at here is basically changing the street signs in the whole neighborhood in the hopes that people have a more difficult time finding the crack house, leaving it there, but also making it more difficult to get to all the nearby houses and the nearby streets. Screwing up everybody's GPS system, resulting in a lot of lost people and frustrated people, many of whom had no intention nor desire to ever commit an illegal act, nor have they committed an illegal act.
The fact is that an accused site should not find itself arbitrarily removed with no recourse.
So it's not impossible to have a situation where you're actually talking about a competitor who looks and sees he can take down his competitor's website and make some more money, and then hide behind the immunity.
Because there really there's no plaintiff, there's no court, it's just the ability to disappear things.
But let's talk about the little guy. Let's talk about the internet entrepreneur who, if the Department of Justice whacks his site and then keeps it for a year, they're going to be gone. They're out of money. They're destroyed.
The little guys that they may knock off, they'll never get back on again. They'll be the judge, the jury, and they'll be pounding their chests and they'll be saying, I have immunity, I can do this. Little guys never heard from again.
Are we going to have specific protection for the little guy that can't afford the lawyers and can't afford to be shut off, and as a result goes out of business, and at the end of the day was innocent.
So, I mean, if companies like GoDaddy are exempted, why are non-commercial domain name servers, and again, many universities are have their own internal DNS, why would we not exempt the non-commercial ones if we're exempting the commercial ones?
Yes, there's a controversy, but the controversy is why we would listen to people who've been paid to say something that is wrong in the face of the entire internet science world saying this is a catastrophe. That is the controversy and the mystery.
There's been a lot of money floating around in a lot of different places on this issue, and I just don't think it's worthy of us to be talking about who got bought off and who got hired by whom.
And I could not fathom why we are moving so quickly on a bill that may in fact save billions of dollars or in fact cause us to lose billions of dollars.
Let's have a hearing, bring in the nerds, and get some real answers to what questions this body can't answer. Is that unreasonable?
I think the reasonable thing is to show the seriousness of our intent by moving this bill forward. That's the reason.
Would the gentleman yield?
And indeed, a high percentage of internet traffic is porn, a high percentage of piracy is porn, and when we are talking about this bill in its current form, it is truly a pornographer's wet dream.
Because we are overly abusive and too quick on the draw to try to draw some conclusions and do some things that the nerds of the world think will actually harm the internet, then I think we are creating problems for our economic future. I think it'll hurt jobs and the economy. I think we will see things go overseas.
There's a possibility that law enforcement officials could target all sites that contain infringing content, regardless of how insignificant that content may be.
You need to have a basis. I mean, this is what you're seeking is internet death. I mean, take down the site, disappear you, and there needs to be some strong belief and evidence that that death penalty should be pursued.
I suspect strongly that everyone who is against the bill today will be against the bill to their dying day.
We should be going out of their way to make sure that we protect people's rights. That we don't just have some bureaucrat, the Department of Justice, who just signs off on something and it just goes.